Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Muhammad. Chairman Conway.
Present.
5 present, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're here today on Board Bill number 122. I'm going to recognize Mr. Todd Walterman, and will give us an overview. Basically, it's the third page of the bill, just the detail.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. This is a supplemental appropriation. If you remember back in April, Prop 1 passed, and that created extra use tax funds of the amount of $2.3 million that would be generated during this budget year. It'll generate $4 million a year in future years when we have a whole year of collection. Of that 2.3, there was a $390,000 supplemental appropriation that went through a few months ago, went over to the courts, to the prosecutor. And so that leaves a remaining balance of $1,910,000 that was not appropriated. If you find Exhibit A on the back, it breaks it down to how it would be intended to be spent. Item 1 is $100,000 going to forestry to hire a contractor to cut building lots. Last budget year, we put $185,000 in that account, and I think it really impacted the feel of our people out on the street. This past year, we only appropriated $100,000, so we're a little short. So they've expended most of that money already here this past few months, and by having this $100,000, we'll be able to come out of the box in the spring, and it will fund it from there till July 1st and take care of those vacant building lots. I think it's a very successful program. Some of your other colleagues could speak to that. Item 2 is funding for the Board of Election. We have an election on November 7th that came about after the budget process was done, so there's not money in there for that election. That's a sum of $354,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but the budget director went over that with them, and that's where we're at. That's the cost of making sure we staff the polling places appropriately. The third item is a fire department item for a ground emergency medical transportation fund. It's kind of a creative thing. We have a consultant that's working with the International Fire Union guys, and they hired a consultant, and they're creating a process for us to collect Medicaid money that we don't normally get. So when we bill these services out, we don't collect all our money. We come up short. And so the state has appropriated $84 million in the current budget year. And by paying this consultant and getting this transaction in place, we will start collecting some revenues. The estimates are, and this sounds like fantasy land, but it's all been vetted, that we will generate between $4 and $6 million a year, starting as early as January of 19 by moving this along. So the ask is that we pay this consultant fee $135,000. There's a contract that was approved through E&A already that's ready to roll if we can find the funds. That's kind of a weird one, but it's really cool. Fire chief's into it. The next one's building demolition. There's $1 million. We all know that we don't do enough with this. I believe there's only $300 and some odd thousand appropriated in this current year, and we're hurting. We got some real nasty little buildings in areas that feed on drug dealers and all the bad crimes. So it's that would knock down 115 buildings in the city at $1 million. The last item is the corrections MSI. There's $320,000. $100,000 of that would replenish the funds we used to create the AC up there this past summer. We basically used general revenue money, and we're a little short on maintenance, so it would replenish that. The other $220,000 would fix the gates. The gates that close and open, they're all manual now, and we have an atrocious amount of workman's comp due to this. People are getting injured, and it would make them electronic. So in the end, I believe we would save money by implementing this machinery. So that's kind of the list for the $1.9 million that's in front of you. I'm ready for questions.
Are there any questions? Alderman Davis, your woman. Alderman Vaccaro.
I do. Who's the company you're contracting with? Since we've already contracted with companies before and outsourced the billing and done all these other things with no results for the collection of the EMS money.
So the EMS money, is a little different, and we've, just in the past year, we have a new contract for that. Okay, we had one that ran for 3 or 4 years we had some issues with, and it's been revamped, and I believe the new one is generating an extra $1 million a year, and that's just EMS billing. This item here before you it sets up a function between the state and the city where we can submit the differences of what we collect and what we pay, and that's how we generate that $4 to $6 million.
So the state's gonna cover it?
Yeah, the state has, in their account, they have $84 million budgeted in this year that will be broke up amongst all the government entities that provide Medicaid services for transport.
Ambulance services.
Yeah, basically. And it could lead into, you know how our fire trucks often get there in the first place? It could lead into revenue to pay for some of that.
It does. We're behind at times. They've been doing this in other states over 10 or 12 years. There's a very successful minority company right here that works in Detroit and Atlanta, and they amass a great deal of money for those entities. Now, the first thing, don't get it twisted. If the person is not either currently on Medicaid or eligible for Medicaid, you will not get a payment from the state, okay?
That's
So
what
it's
I'm
not just an automatic, I'm gonna send you money because they can't pay their bill.
Right.
Okay.
They have to be part of the system.
Right.
Alderwoman Howard.
On the weed cutting, the first item, $100,000, is that an additional $100,000?
So the current budget year has 100,000 in it. This would make it 200,000. The year before, we had 184,000 appropriated.
84, 85.
So we'll have 200,000 coming in the
Yes.
spring? Okay.
No,
Well, no.
no, we've already spent 100 of it.
Oh, so we'll only
So we're
have
not gonna have
100.
Well, we did for the year.
The past year, the last budget year, we had 184, 185,000.
Right.
And that got us through a fall and a spring of that budget year. This current year, we only appropriated 100,000, and they've run through most of that
Okay, I
money from
Okay, by
July
now.
till about now.
Okay.
So
So
we-
we'll have 100,000 in the spring, but this will only be vacant lots, or will they be
They-
abandoned
They
buildings?
use it on
and-
vacant building lots, okay? We're pretty good at brush hogging vacant lots where there's nothing in the way, but all, the intense work comes when you gotta cut around the old building.
Okay.
It's all handwork, weed eater work, that's what we've been contracting out.
Okay, so this will be contracted out to a
Yes.
private?
Yes, we have a couple
Provider.
contractors that are doing this, and they've been very successful. One of them's had a lot of success at hiring people from our neighborhoods.
Okay, and they do good work, they don't just kind of
Nope, it's been pretty good. We
run
had
a
3 of
path
them, we're down to 2,
through
and they're doing
say
good.
it's Okay,
The complaints went away. I mean, this was really neat. And a little bit extra, by doing this and having contractors do it next to our regular employees, it energizes them, and the production's going up in our own employees, because they now have a challenge.
okay. All right,
Alderwoman Murphy.
Asked and answered. Thank
All
you.
right. Let's see, someone had signed up to speak. Hand me that, and sir, go ahead and have a seat. Did you want to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris Wallace. Go ahead and sit at the end. Okay, if you tell us your name.
Okay, I'm Chris Wilcox.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And what would you like to say today?
All right, so I would say good morning, members of the Ways and Means Committee. My name is Chris Wilcox, and I'm a policy and research intern with Community Builders Network. We are a network of community building organizations in the St. Louis metro region. We have members across sectors, from community development corporations to bankers to real estate developers and the public sector. We are here to lend our support for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Currently, we are seeing a consistent decline in federal resources, with St. Louis having lost 50% of its community development block grants and home funds since 2003. This could result in social service and housing needs going unmet in our community. Fortunately, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a powerful tool, a local tool that is used to meet these needs. Through loans and grants, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund supports home construction and major rehab, homeless services, home repair, and supportive services. Investing in these services has substantial benefits for our community. Affordable housing construction reduces crime and puts vacant properties into productive use. Further, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a sound fiscal investment. Every dollar the Affordable Housing Trust Fund spends on housing construction and major rehab is matched by $17 in public and private funds. This keeps our city competitive for outside investment. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is supported by the local use tax. Originally, it was envisioned that 50% of the local use tax go towards the development and preservation of affordable and accessible housing. As the use tax has grown, it has gone toward other important uses, but the Affordable Housing Trust Fund has been left behind. The new revenues provide an opportunity to reinvest in our city. Community Builders Network's board supports the recommendation of 50% of all unallocated funds going to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and the important work it supports. And thank you for your time and your consideration of our request. And we also have briefs that we prepared on the issue.
So we're gonna pass a couple out?
Yes, if you'll give it to the clerk, we'll pass those out. Well, we appreciate your input today, and this is the first time you've come, at least, and testified in front of me. But just that from our perspective, we appreciate what we're doing with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We also have, and you just heard our needs and what we're doing, competing needs that are very important and very immediate, in particular with building demolitions. And that's how we have to legislate. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund was, nobody ever thought that was actually gonna pass that election, that it passed. So it has been, a godsend of funds for those use taxes that were available at that particular time. But everyone here represents diverse parts of the city, and we understand all of the needs. But I do appreciate your input this morning. Thank you. All right. I would move that we pass Board Bill number 122 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that Board Bill number 122 come out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Muhammad. Chairman Conway.
Aye.
5 aye votes do pass.
Thank you very much. That's all we have. I think we've got a bill or two coming in this week, but, and Lou is here. We'll probably go ahead. Anything else that's in the Ways and Means, let me know what we have in there. Sometimes the sponsors forget to say they want a hearing, but let me know tomorrow, and then we'll probably schedule a meeting again next Thursday morning. All right, thank you. Meeting adjourned.